everybody, just please be prepared. Like, for example, I would suggest, and I was speaking with my Yashra'al about this, being that we're a Mishpachah and love is going to be extremely important, don't believe that if we can't get along now, that we're going to get along in the wilderness or during the 42 months. It's not going to happen. So we just come straight up and forward with it now. Meaning now is that we need to really get into like some survival things that we need or might need to purchase. Like for one, I was speaking with Maisha. I believe that we should all have like a nice high-powered walkie-talkie. Okay, that way we can communicate with one another. Security is going to be very important. Canned goods, clothing, warm clothing, blankets, and things of that sort. The reason why I'm so adamant about this is because it's outlined in Scripture. And the Mashiach is speaking with this Talmudim. He's telling them that these things, behold, my words are faithful and true, and these things are going to happen. America is not going to be here forever. There's going to come a time where all of this is going to be shut off. And what is it that we're going to do there? Because the Mashiach is not coming until after the tribulation. He that endureth unto the end shall be saved. The Father really needs to know whether or not we are truly worthy to entertain or go into that last marriage supper. But you're going to have to be able to endure it. Can we get along with one another? Do we have all things in common? Can we actually do that? Because we all talk a good talk. But what's going to happen, like I said the last time, when the tire meets the road? What's going to happen? I shared a conversation with, I got so emotional with this that a couple of days ago, I called my sister and I was explaining to her, because, let me make this short. We all have weaknesses, all of us. And I had to examine myself, what is my weakness? And my weakness is my family. And I want them so much to understand exactly what's about to happen. So I'm calling my sister and I call my daughter and I'm calling people, my family, and I'm trying to share with them what's about to happen, and no response. I'm busy, I'm cooking, can you get back with me? But this is going to be the thing. Once it happens, there's nothing that you can do for them now. Just like it was in the days of Noah, when the Father shuts the door. Think about it. I love my daughter to death, I do. But what's going to happen? Really think about this. What if right now, the Father shut everything down and everybody that is here, that's it? What happens now when your daughter, your son is knocking on the door and you can't open the door? And that's all you hear is screaming and yelling. Daddy, I love you. Open the door for me. This is the same thing happened during the days of Noah. Your mother, your fathers, your children, your aunts and uncles, are you strong enough? Are you really, truly strong enough to just turn away?
But Maureen, you said something key about that. When you said that Yahuah shut the door.
Yeah.
Because if he would have left it up to Noah will open the door.
Yeah, absolutely.
Noah's going to open the door.
Mishpachah, these 42 months is going to be very, very, it's going to be a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. And I just pray that we don't get sidetracked. Again, no pre-tribulation rescuing. We're going to have to go through it. A lot of us are going to die, but it would be best for us now to die, okay, fighting for truth, versus now going back into the world. One more scripture, please, on Philippians 4:22. Zabud, if you can read Philippians 4:22, and I'll shut it down from there. It's just that I was going through a lot this week, and just listening to some of the responses. Well, everything's going to be okay. The economy always bounces back. Things always gets better. It's basically the way that people look at things. And you try to share with people, well, you do know that America wasn't always here. There was a government and a system before here. So all of this is bound to fall. And it kind of like amazes me how people don't see that there's something happening. You can like sense it. Something is not quite right. But Philippians 4:22, please.
All the saints salute you, chiefly they that are of Caesar's household.
Okay. When I looked up that word saints, you go to the Greek 0040 and the Hebrew 2282 when you get the chance. The saints are those, by definition, the saints are those that follow the commandments. Those are the ones who are considered the saints. And so when you go to Revelation, the 12th chapter, it says that the adversary was let loose for a little season. He's coming after a certain group of people. Those that keep the festivals, because it gives the word Hag. And the word Hag is festivals. Can somebody get that for me? I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. The word Hag, 420.
H4.
Yeah,
H22.
No, it's 40, the 41st.
Oh, 40.
G40?
Mm-hmm.
G40 is
What's the word?
Hagios.
Hi, how you spelling it?
Hagios.
Ious. So this is Greek.
Hagos.
Hagos, okay. And the Greek language came from the Hebrew. All right, let's make sure everybody understands that. This word Hag, read on by definition what this word Hagos means. Hagios.
You know it is Hagios.
Oh.
So it's IUS and OS.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's from the Greek word Hagos.
Okay.
But morally blameless, set apart,
Set apart.
ceremonially consecrated,
Ceremonially, okay, consecrated,
physically pure, sacred.
Okay, now go to the 2282. Do you see 2282 there? Because you're going to now go back and give you the Hebrew definition of it.
It's Chag, C-H-A-G.
Mm-hmm.
It's a festival or a big
A
thereof.
festival. So a servant now follows the festivals. They're set apart. And the festivals are the Shabbats. And the Shabbats is not just talking about the weekly Shabbats, it's talking about Pesach, unleavened bread, the waving of the sheaf offering, which is first fruits. It talks about Shavuot, Yom Teruah, we have Yom Kippur, and we have the Feast of Sukkot. So the adversary now, even with the Greek, is telling you now is that these servants now are those that keep the festivals, those that keep the Shabbats. All right, so that's going to be today's lesson. And again, I just wanted to bring this up because what we're going to start doing now is going over these plagues that's going to be happening. These messengers is going to be pouring out their vows upon the earth, and all of this is going to be happening now during the 42 months to 1,260 days. No pre-trip rapture is not there. Are there any questions, any suggestions, anything? Okay, we have our sister Catherine.
So during these 42 months, that means we're going to be here in the U.S.?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we will be here. Yes, I mean, wherever we're scattered at, because our people are scattered amongst the four corners of the earth. And what's interesting now is that the Mashiach is not going to do the gathering. According to Matthew, the 24th chapter, when we see the signs, and then you're going to blow the shofar, and then this messenger is going to now gather the children of Israel from the four corners. But until that time, We going through every bit of it, all of it. Yeah. So yeah,
And
when I
so-
uh-huh.
And when it mentions the wilderness, do you think that there will be particular wildernesses where the people are dwelling, or would they usually they'll be gathered into one?
Well, according to the book of Daniel, we went over this last week. Daniel, the 12th chapter, talked about even during that time that Michael's going to have to stand up for the people. And so once the shofar is blown, and the shofar is blown, it announces the ushering of the king, the coming of the Mashiach. And so we still have to go through a process, even with that, because this is really long and drawn out. When the Mashiach gathers his people from the four corners of the earth, they then have to go through another process that happens now according to the festivals. Everything is based upon the festivals, all of it. We can't skip anything. Because after Yom Teruah, we have another festival that's coming up, which is the Day of Atonement. Once we're able to make it to that point, and this is all happening within the 42 months, if you're found worthy after the Day of Atonement, then you can move 5 days later to the Feast of Sukkot, where now the groom is tabernacling with the bride. The same way that it happened now when Moses now goes up to the top of the mount and he comes back down 40 days later, giving the nation of Yashra'al the verdict on whether or not the bride actually made it. If you made it, you get a chance to move on. And this is the reason why it tells us in the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, that Israel is going to be saved. But this is the catch. All those whose names are written in the book. It has to be written in the book. If not, you're not going to, you're just not going to make it. So it's going to get very, very rough out here. And I just pray again that we're really taking things serious. Yes.
In order to gain a little more clarity about the order, there will be 7 trumpets blown. Is that happening? Is that happening simultaneously with the tribulation, or is that happening during the time that we just read, where it's like after the tribulation of those days shall what we read earlier?
Even after that, it makes mention that, and we're going to go into it next week because we're going to do a whole outline of all of those plagues as these angels are pouring out the Father's wrath upon the earth. It's going to talk about the adversary being let loose for a little season. Okay, we're going to put all of that in order. We're going to talk about where there's going to be an opening of the abyss. It talks about disagreeable spirits that's been bound from the beginning of time, and these spirits now going to be let loose. Okay, it's about to get crazy. I mean, really, really, really crazy out here. And so you stop there. I'm stopping because it's a lot. It's a whole lot. A whole lot. We're gonna go through it.
We talked about what Esau did in order to, Esau was born, but what did Ishmael do to get him on the wrong side of the Israelites?
Inheritance is everything.
Because we know that Esau was hated from the foundation of the earth. What did Ishmael do?
It talks about how the beef started between Hagar, and the word Hagar is very important. Hagar, Hager, the Ger, stranger, the stranger. The word Hagar means the stranger. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit later. We have a situation where we have Ishmael was actually taunting to the point when you go to the book of Josephus where he was trying to actually kill Isaac. Yeah, killed Isaac. And this tension now started with Hagar because Hagar's responsibility now being that she gave birth to Ishmael, in other writings where it shares that she didn't want to actually give now the son over to Sarah. She didn't want to do that because with the firstborn comes a lot of responsibility, and you get the firstborn blessing. Even to the point where it makes mention where, even in the scriptures, it talks about where Hagar began to despise Sarah to the point where, listen, you know what? I can conceive and you can't. Abraham is going to love me because I'm able to do what you can't do, which is give you a firstborn. And so now we have the scripture where it talks about Abraham gets the vision from the father. You know, but don't be vexed or angry with your Isha. Do everything that your Isha is telling you. Cast out the bondwoman.
Right.
You know, so he would not be heir. Even though the father did bless Ishmael, where he also had 12 sons, the same way that Isaac had, you know, the 12 tribes of Israel. Yeah, so I mean, that was always the adversary's job. He always wanted to kill the firstborn. The firstborn gets the inheritance.
Just for clarity's sake, the two lands, we know who the two nations were that Esau came up against. What are the two lands?
Oh, it's all referencing. It's just saying the same thing.
It's all
Yeah,
Canaan,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. So the land, the people, is all referring to Israel.
To Israel. Okay.
Yeah. So that's split there. So we know that Israel, Northern Kingdom, they inherited the north part of Israel, and Southern Kingdom dwelled in the southern part, but they came and took over the whole thing. These two lands, these people, their minds.
The last thing I was going to say is that we can tell, the scripture said that it will be a perpetual hatred against the Israelites.
Oh, absolutely, forever.
Now, we know who Esau is, okay, and we know Satan cannot cast out Satan, but we know who Esau is. But if you notice it or not, America has this love affair with the Jewish people. Okay, I mean, we're giving them billions of dollars a year. I think even somebody said 1.2 trillion dollars a year, or something similar to that. And we just have this love affair with them. But so you can tell that the quote unquote perpetual hate is not there. But when you look upon the true Israelites, the diaspora, the black folk, they hate us perpetually, and it has been going on for, well, here in America for 400 years. So you can see what they're doing and what they're doing against us and how they hate us for no reason at all. And so when it says a perpetual hate, we can just look at that alone to see who the true Israelites are.
Absolutely.
You see? Because they have no hatred for those guys, but they have nothing but hatred for us.
Absolutely. Perpetual means perpetual. And like we said before, I found very interesting in Ezekiel 35th chapter, there came a point where all of this should have come to an end. But he held it forward, the affliction. So that's where it gets real interesting. If the adversary has gone beyond what was originally intended for the nation of Yashra'al, and then we find the scriptures in Matthew the 24th chapter where it says now is that if the Father didn't cut this thing short, the way that the adversary is moving, there will be nothing left. It would all be destroyed. And this is the reason why we can go over those seven plagues. And we're going to show in Scripture as the Father is marking those that keep the commandments, the adversary is doing his job, and he's also marking those that have taken the sign or the mark of the beast. I mean, just imagine, hypothetically, one of the signs that you will physically be able to see. If I came in here one day and I just had a whole bunch of boils on me, that's one of the indications according to Scripture. If we was to look at that literally, just the way that it is, you just took the mark of the beast. That's one of the signs.
Now, it's not something that you're gonna get and not know you have. You are literally going to make a conscious decision to accept this.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So they like that chip they put in your hand or on your driver's license, and they say, okay, you need this nowadays to continue to do business. This is an actual, hey buddy, you're gonna have to accept the mark of the beast.
Yeah, and as you already know, they're trying to implement this already, and I know even doing Bush and who was his Obama's reign, but I heard it more doing Bush, where he said that if you're not forced, you're against us. And so this thing is really coming down to the wire, where we all have to make one day that ultimate decision. And in the ending, I would definitely tell people, me personally, I'm not a Facebook person, but a lot of things that the internet, I believe, is extremely, extremely dangerous. And I personally believe, because, this is not being aired right now, right?
It's recording,
I'm
but I'm
still
not
recording,
I'm
yeah.
not-
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. I didn't know that. All right, fine.
Uh,
Okay, we good. So, yeah. But this is my thing. Me personally. You can still act wrong. You can let it go. You good.